All right, guys, 30 videos, 30 days. Here's number 2. So what we're going to talk about is carbs. And I'm going to talk about carbs in a way of to eat them intuitively. This will just help you, give you a baseline understanding of carbs in general. So you need to know a few different things, the types of carbs. This is important to understanding why and how you will eat them. Carb number 1 is fruit. Carb number 2, 3, and 4 are starches. Now these carbs come in different ways, and this is the stuff you need to know. So fruit, starch number 1. Starch number 1 is what I consider the superfood of carbs. Starch number 1 is carbs that do not have gluten and do not have grains. Starch number 2 is carbs that do have grains but do not have gluten. Starch number 3 is carbs that have gluten and grains. So there are 4 types of carbs. Okay, so now let's break them down. How do you eat each of them? So here's how you need to think. If you're not tracking, you're not measuring, you just want to know, you just want to have a grasp on carbs from an intuitive perspective. You eat them in order, okay? So I want you to put fruit in its own category. We're going to talk about that later. So the carb that you want to eat the least is starch number 4. Starch number 4 is gluten and grains contained in the carb. You can go Google that. I don't have time to list them all. But glutens and grains, why? Gluten and grains are responsible for most of the inflammation that goes on in your gut. If there's inflammation in your gut, it affects your immune system. It affects your ability to choose. It affects your appetite. It affects your mood. It affects a lot of different things. Some people have no problems with these, and that's fine. And I'm not saying you should avoid them altogether, but you want to eat this one as minimal as possible. So that is, let's call it carb number 4, okay? Gluten with grains. Now, carb number 3. This is one that you want to eat occasionally, but I probably wouldn't eat it daily. So carb number 3 is the carb that does not contain gluten, but it does contain a grain. So that's like rice and other grains, whole wheat, breads, things like that, that don't have gluten. So these you can eat frequently, but I wouldn't eat them all the time if you have some type of sensitivity to a grain. Grain can cause inflammation, so I would eat these occasionally. Carb number 4, eat very, very rarely, but don't take it all the way out. If you don't have a problem, don't take it all the way out, but it will cause inflammation. The gluten and grain will cause inflammation, so eat that sparingly. Now, so we took care of carb number 4, we took care of carb number 3, now we got carb number 2. Carb number 2, these are your starches that do not have gluten and do not have grains. In my opinion, these are the ultimate superfoods. They just happen to be extremely nutritious. They're not nutritionist, nutritious. They are very good for the body, and they do tend to be superfoods. So these are things like sweet potatoes. These are a lot of root vegetables, okay? Things that come from the earth, things that have one ingredient. They are very good for your body. These are the starches. These are the carbs that you want to eat all the time on a daily basis. So you can look those up. You can simply Google starches or carbs that do not have grains or gluten. These are the ones, carb number 2, that you want to eat all the time. These are your superfood. Now, carb number 1 is fruit. Fruit's got a bad rap. We're going to fix that. From an intuitive perspective, here's why fruit's kind of in a separate category. It is extremely good for your body, full of vitamin and minerals, very nutritious, but it contains fructose, and fructose does not do the same thing that the other carbs do in your body. I'm trying to make this seem very, very simple. Fructose, fructose immediately replenishes liver glycogen, which is very important, but you can overeat fructose. Fructose is a pure sugar. It's like an energy, but it's very nutrition. It's required for your brain, your liver, a lot of things. So I don't like to rule it out. Here's what I would use carb number 1 for. This is what I have found works the best. When you have a sweet craving, carb number 1 is your go-to. Carb number 1 is your go-to, because usually when you have a sweet craving, that's a sign that you're lacking, you're deficient in something that is usually involved in one of those carbs. So your body is telling you to, that's why it craves something sweet. Fill that void with a sugar carb like fruit. That's all I got, under 5 minutes. We did it. Hey, go check out my live today on my Facebook. Go check out the live. We're going to talk about a lot of really cool things with our upcoming challenge. Check it out. Challenge is January 1st. Hope you guys got some good information on this.